Hey, and welcome to this workshop on how to choose your niche and find your ideal clients. I'll introduce myself first and would love to introduce you to Michael second. But my name is Alex Asher. I'm the CEO of a virtual classroom and online school solution called, it's called LearnCube, and we help tutoring businesses in particular. One of the other parts of my experience is co-hosting not only a weekly podcast called Get More Students Podcast, which is really focused on ideas and motivation around marketing for tutoring businesses. And we also do a monthly webinar. Now, Michael's going to tell you a little bit more about himself. I just wanted to quickly mention that and just to give you a visual of what LearnCube is and does, we provide this award-winning virtual classroom made for tutoring online. And we also provide both a light version, which is made for one teacher, but provides everything from scheduling and payments to reporting, to our online school premium, which is if you are more than one tutor and are managing a business. But Michael is the founder of Coach for Tutors. And Michael, tell the crew here about a little bit about your experience. It's pretty impressive.
Well, sure thing. So I started out as a classroom teacher, and after a couple of years of teaching in grade 1, grade 2, I realized 30-on-1 was not a ratio conducive to the best learning for children. So I started tutoring again, and I really fell in love with that. And I did a 1-year term at another learning center as a manager. And then after that, opened my own tutoring company, I Am Success Tutoring. And that grew into having an office space for children and online presence and in person. And after 8 years of working in that industry, I sold that to my team and then moved into becoming a business coach for tutors and working with them to help them with growing their tutoring businesses, be it if they're private tutors just starting out or established tutoring companies, just helping them with growing their businesses in the direction they want to grow. So I've been doing that, and I'm also released 2 ebooks recently. One is for helping people who are in the launch phase of their business with growing and successfully launching their business. And another one is for those who are scaling and having successful growth of their tutoring businesses. And so, yeah, so those have just been released as well.
Fantastic. Now, if you're listening in, what you're going to be expecting today is a workshop, and that means we want you to be able to walk away with real action. We want you to be able to walk away with feeling like you really understand your niche, really understand how to go and find them, and then how to improve the operations and sales and marketing side of your business to all go in line with that niche. So I'll start with a little bit about a niche and why it's so important. So when I literally talked to hundreds of tutoring companies and language businesses, partly because they're trying to launch online. We deal with some very large customers, but actually, look, a lot of our businesses are just starting out or have started as a single independent tutor operation, and they're looking like, hey, how can I grow my business and get beyond my current results? And so they hit some challenges, and these are the most common challenges here, being competition. And I think particularly after COVID-19, online was definitely not a new thing, but it felt like it was a new thing. And I think a lot of new people joined the online tutoring ecosystem, and so it made it really feel very competitive. And so a lot of people were like, well, how do I stand out? And so the next part is really in line with that, was that a lot of tutoring businesses felt very, very same. So it's also both a problem and a solution in a way. It's kind of the symptom of really not differentiating yourself, and then basically getting caught out by competition. I'm referring to more like the service and product side, but also price competition is another area that a lot of people feel very stuck with. They feel like they can't increase prices, but also are not feeling like they're getting or showing that total value. So I wanted to really talk about these as the challenges, and then how choosing a niche really helps and solve a lot of these. So that's the main solution for all of them, is picking that niche. And why? Because it automatically can help you focus, it can help you differentiate yourself from the competition. And by differentiating yourself, you can get out of that price trap. One of the most, well, I'm going to talk about a number of reasons again why a niche is so important. First being, it's just impacts every single element of your strategy. And so it's why you often hear, somebody like myself or even Michael, I'm sure, talks a lot about niches as well, because it impacts literally every decision you have after that. So this market piece will determine what is your operation side of things. How does your business need to function? It's going to definitely impact the product and service you deliver, because that single choice will imply pricing implications. It's going to have a lot of different implications about the product and, of course, about your marketing and messaging. So it definitely impacts your strategy. It impacts the stories you tell. So if you choose a niche and you're telling a story that's totally irrelevant to that niche, then you're really going to be missing half the impact of that. So choosing the right niche impacts the stories you tell. And it really impacts the marketing channels that you focus on. So that's why it's just totally critical that you have this front of mind. And I think one of the things that I know a lot of people really struggle with is choosing a narrow enough niche. Now, it's always possible to add or expand on a niche, but not in the first instance. Every single marketing message needs to speak to a single audience. Again, you may want to have different audiences in the future, but you can't talk to more than one with the same message or the same channel necessarily. So that's why, again, it's so important to think, what's that central core niche that you're going to focus on? And it, of course, impacts the price that you charge. Now, if your niche is looking after disadvantaged youth, then the price you charge might be quite different to if you're looking after, let's call fairly high earning, but very, I don't know, exceptionally talented people, and getting somebody from an A to an A+, rather than helping somebody that might be disadvantaged and going from not too sure if they can pass, but then actually realizing their potential. They're two very, very different stories, two different value propositions, and this is also going to impact your price possibly, or at least how you go about pricing, whether it be upfront plans, post-paid plans, a plan at all, month to month. There's lots of different ways that you can price your service, but that all stems from which niche you decide on. So the steps that are going to be really successful for you to succeed is choosing the right niche, and then finding that niche, marketing that niche, and then, of course, adding value, which will help you attract more and more of those, ideally, the ideal customers you're going to hear from Michael in this next session. So let's start with the first one, which is how to choose that niche. So the way I like to think about this is to start narrowing by using some of these, let's call them levers, or dimensions or spectrums. So the geographic aspect, how do you choose the right niche? Well, where do you have an advantage? Do you have an advantage like, say, Michael does in Canada? He's got the right time zone, and he might have, for example, the language. Maybe, I don't know, Michael, if you speak French, but I imagine if I was even trying to go after that part of the Canadian market, that would be an important piece. So where's your strength at? I'm based actually in London, and LearnCube is really focused in the European and I guess time zone. So that gives us an advantage. That's where I would spend more of my efforts initially before I'd be able to build out my other opportunities, say in North America, with a larger team. So start with that advantage and then grow from there. You might also really like to think on, is it urban or is it a rural audience? Particularly with online tutoring, a rural experience might be totally the right one, because maybe they can't access in-person tutoring, which maybe for whatever reason might be their preference, but they might not be able to access. So a rural part of Canada could end up being where that niche lies. And you can also think about expertise. So whether it be, I know Michael will have a certain expertise in the subject, but it could be in test prep versus a subject area. There's lots of ways that you can spin that out as your expertise, the thing you are known for, and the thing that you want other people to tell their friends about what you do. Finally, really on this demographic and cultural and language side, those are all massive advantages that you may have. So I speak, say, Spanish and German. Those are going to be areas that I have a natural advantage on compared to, say, going after markets where the native language might be Chinese or Vietnamese. I wouldn't have a natural advantage. So that's not the niche I would start with. So we're going to choose this. Obviously, this is going to be a workshop, so you don't need to know this immediately, but hopefully in the back of your mind, you're going, oh yeah, I know what my advantages are and how I might go about choosing that niche. I'm going to keep on going through just to make sure that we're sticking with time. But once you've chosen that niche, it makes it much easier for you to find them. Because now you know what you're looking for. Where do they live? What sort of accommodation do they live in? And where are the stumble upon points? So if you know your niche really well, then this is going to be a really easy question to answer. Know what their interests are. How can you bump into them and satisfy those interests? So it might be in certain community groups or anything like that, or it might be, what language they speak. So the advertising, for example, might need to be in the native language. So how you find your niche really comes down to what you choose. And we're going to be talking about some examples. So don't worry if you don't get all of this straight away. Because we're going to start with Michael's aspect here, which is now going to be on who are your ideal customers and your clients, and then we'll go into a more workshop experience next. Michael, I'll hand over to you.
All right, excellent, thank you. Yeah, so as Alex was saying, it's really the niche piece is very important especially as you're building out and you're looking at who your group of people are going to be that you tutor. And then also looking at unique problems you solve and what makes you unique for your clients. But now the next piece is really who are your ideal clients? And if people have any questions, please post in the chat. It'd be great to help out. Who are your ideal clients? So some of you, I know you're brand new to the tutoring business. You just started, which is really exciting. And some of you have been doing this a little longer, which is great as well. But it's also thinking about who your ideal clients are in conjunction with your niche. So for ideal clients, there's a three piece system that really can help you to say, okay, these are the clients that I want to work with. And these are the clients that I know are going to help me to have the strongest business that I can have. So they would be commitment. And that's the first piece. And it's wondering, do they have the same commitment for learning as yourself? So when you're meeting with a family for the first time, or you're meeting with a student for the first time, you're getting to know who they are, just gauging what kind of commitment they have for learning. So for yourself, if say you're an early years educator, you might say, okay, you know what, I know for English reading, we need to do an hour a week, for example, to really make sure that your son or daughter can really succeed and get to where they need to be in their reading and feel all the confidence, all those good things. But the family, if they're like, yeah, let's do an hour or let's do more, great. The commitment's there, they're dedicated, they want to do this. Now they might say though, well, let's do only half an hour a week, maybe just 20 minutes a week. I don't want to do any more than that. And so that really comes into question about the commitment, which is, again, that goes into objections and helping to peel that onion and figure out, okay, what are their concerns? And that's a slightly different topic for another workshop. But I mean, for right now, the commitment piece is seeing, are their commitments going to align with yours? So, or maybe if you're working with an older student in ESL, and they need 2 hours a week of study practice to make sure that they can continue to learn from the different modules. Are they going to be on the same page as you, or they have to complete a certain number of activities in a certain amount of time? So it's just looking at those different pieces and making sure that the commitment is aligned and having that transparency with the family right from the start. And also, of course, like most things, it's subject to change. That's okay too. But just making sure that there's an understanding in place right from the start can really make a great impact with interacting with your family, and for yourself, reducing your stress as you build your business, because you're like, okay, I have a client that's on the same page as me. We're not going to be getting these back and forth confused emails or uncertainties, or we're going into starting this process together, not on the same page. So that's where commitment really is important, and making sure that there's an alignment and really seeing what's going to be best for this particular student that you're working with. The next one is goals. So do they have similar goals for their child's progress as you have? And that's very important, and it goes hand in hand with commitment. So they're committed to setting out, towards their child's success. They're ready to go. Now, are their goals going to be similar to yours? And that's, again, a great dialogue to have when you're talking on the phone with a potential client, or at that assessment when you're meeting with a client, to make sure that there's an alignment there in terms of goal of how their child's going to progress. I can tell you an example of a situation I had a number of years ago when I first started my tutoring company. A parent called me, and they were looking for tutoring for the whole school year. They were really looking. They really wanted this tutoring, and they said, "Well, my son has a 36 in math right now, and I'd like to have my son at a 95 by the end of the school year." School year is a few months away. It was the start of the school year, so a few months away, because January was the exam time. and he says, "Well, I want him to go up from 36 to 95, and if he doesn't get there, then I want some of my money back." So the latter was not going to be in the cards, but the former was, again, what are we trying to seek? Your child is currently at a 36. To get to a 95, what would need to be done? And that's, that goes into a scale of realistic expectations. And it's a temptation as tutors, I think, when we start, and I did this too, you want to say yes. You're eager to be like, yes, oh my gosh, absolutely. But it's thinking about, is that going to be possible for that child? And what plans would need to be in place to get there? So that's why it's great when you have goals that are not guarantees, but have goals that are like, okay, these are the things we're going to accomplish during our tutoring session together. And even setting up monthly goals with the family can be a great way to set up for your ideal clients. See that they're on the same page as you, like monthly goals. If that's how your company works, then they're on the same page. Sharing with them what goals, you would like to accomplish, and what goals would they like to achieve, and making sure that's aligned, because it's great to have that expectation up front rather than down the road. And that client that you're starting with no longer is ideal, because now there's conflict, because they're not happy with what you're delivering. They're not happy with how far their child's progressing. So it's good to have those goals up front. And also the goals you might be a company that believes more in mentorship. You might believe more in mentoring a child and building that confidence piece first, academics second, and the family might be the flip. So how do you navigate that? So just some things to think about when it comes to looking for your ideal client. So it's the commitment, the goal piece, and the last piece, which is very important, and really it's about being good to yourself. And this could be a whole other workshop, this last piece, but personality. Are you and your client a fit in terms of personality? Now, as we know, in the world, we're not always going to be with people that we 100% all the time get along with perfectly. That's just not realistic. We work with many different people of many different backgrounds, different personality characteristics, and whatever it might be. And that's great, but it's just really thinking about, in terms of personality, what I mean about the alignment there is using your intuition. Can you gauge, is this client going to be the right fit for you and for your company, but also for your mental well-being? Is this going to be somebody that's going to be the right fit? An example I can give you of this was, again, a few years ago. I had a parent that wanted to start. Parent guardian seemed very lovely on the phone, and the student was very nice as well. But the parent guardian micromanaged when it came for the assessment every 2 minutes. What are you doing? Why are you doing it that way? Can't you change what you're doing? Well, I don't like how you're doing it. I'd rather you do it the way I teach my son. So it was very, very much a micromanagement personality. And that was not quite how I would have gone about it. And so I asked her, what are ways we can adjust? And it led to really a very unpleasant experience for myself, and probably for her, because I was more of like, let's develop this, let's take our time. And she was more of the micromanaging type. So just be mindful of, am I going to have a personality that's going to be the right fit for me and my business? And most of the time you'll gauge that after that first session. You can see, are they the right fit? Are they match your, are they similar in terms of style? Are they similar in terms of expectation? Are they, do you want to work with clients that are maybe more more warm and sensitive clients, or you want clients that are more results oriented, just want to get our results, we're good to go. So just think about who is your ideal personality, and because it'll save you a lot of stress, and you don't want to be devoting abundance of time to trying to figure out new ways to navigate a difficult personality. Of course, we all have to navigate personalities, that's life, but if it's something that becomes overwhelming to you in your business, is it worth keeping that potential person who up to that point seemed ideal? So just things to think about as you're selecting your ideal client is, are they committed at the same level that you're committed, or is that aligned? Are your goals aligned? Be it, are they looking for mentorship, academic growth? Are they like, are they open to the way you're doing things? Are you open to how they are? And personality, are they going to be the right fit going forward? Another piece for ideal clients for personality is something you can do. I did this with my tutors and with my clients to help with aligning them better. It's called the DISC. I'm not sure if anyone's heard of the DISC before, but it's literally DISC, and it's a personality assessment you can do. And they have personality tests for children, youth, and adults. And it gives you, for the child one and the teenager one, they give you all the different personality traits of the student, and also what type of personality and environment that student would thrive on. Of course, customize it to each individual child's needs, of course, but it gives you a nice baseline. And I found that very helpful when I was matching up tutors with clients. Was, hey, let's try the DISC and let's match you up with somebody that's going to have that similar personality type. And I found that the success rate of those matches increased doing that. So yeah, so that's just the three pieces there of commitment, goals, and personality. So I'm going to close that part for now. And then Alex, it's open to you.
Fantastic. So we naturally, if you felt that was relatively quick, hopefully it was because we were ideally trying to do a short presentation and then really spend some time on actually workshopping this with you. And also for you to be able to do the work and spend a moment really thinking about your own business and getting the most out of it. So I've already asked the question as well, like what stage of business you're in. And we have some people that are really in that sort of starting out stage. They've got a little bit of experience, but are just getting started. And we're just getting a few more answers on this, which I think will be really helpful. What we're going to be doing next, while you're just answering some questions about your businesses, is going to be, I think possibly, Mike, we could go through some questions or even some examples. And examples would be even better if some of our audience here could just write a couple of questions about how to answer, or concerns or questions that they've had about choosing the right niche. And we'll go from there.
Sounds good. So yeah, if you have, in terms of not having that narrow niche, if you started with having a variety of clients, so at that point, it's really thinking about, okay, maybe for yourself, figuring out which client are you finding, which type of client are you finding is the best fit, and then really honing in on building a niche around that, one or two groups maybe of clients that you find are best suited for you. Not saying drop the ones you have by any means, but you can keep those ones, but just start to really build up those groups, because it's going to save you the prep time. It's going to save you the, running around with, you're already running around with a lot of different hats as a business owner. It'll save you some of those hats, because you're not having to shift gears from grade 1 English, then doing grade 12 physics, then switching over to grade 10 math. And then we're going to bounce back to JK or junior kindergarten. Then we're going to flip over to a mentorship program. You'll have difficulty. From my own experience, I did that when I first started. I thought, oh my gosh, I'll get all these clients by saying I do everything for everybody. And I did get a boost of clients at the start, but I was burnt out within a few months because I was running around doing all the different subjects. So just focus on what you're really good at. And if you have that variety pack, that's okay, but figure out what is your strongest suit. And then as you expand and you start to hire tutors, then you can start to expand your niche, expand your ideal clients, build that net out, because you will have that opportunity to give those potential clients over to another tutor who's really well-versed and well-skilled in that particular area of expertise.
Excellent points. I mean, I also just think of it Your niche is where you put your marketing efforts, like it's what you push out. That's what you're really trying to get. Whereas you may have some people that you're just trying to serve. Now they can be outside of that niche, but that's not who you're really marketing to.